Welcome to the ultimate pool party, where you never know what you're gonna fish out of the water. From the unexpected to the downright bizarre, join us as we dive into the 15 weirdest things people have found floating in their backyard oasis. Poor dear. A man woke up on a beautiful Friday morning to mow his lawn. As he strolled outside, he was taken aback by an unusual sight. To his surprise, a large deer was taking a dip in his backyard pool. Now, this pool was not your ordinary, pristine, crystal-clear oasis, but rather an unused one. So it wasn't filled to the brim with water, but still, the deer could barely keep its head above the water. The man knew that this was not a usual sight and quickly called the RSPCA for help. Enter Patrick Bailey, the RSPCA inspector on duty, who arrived at the scene and saw the exhausted deer struggling to stay afloat. Patrick, being the animal-loving hero he is, knew he had to take action immediately. But he also knew that this was a job for a team, so he quickly called his colleague, Karen Greger. Together they concocted a plan to rescue the deer from its aquatic predicament. They used grasper poles to grab the deer by its antlers and carefully maneuvered it to one side of the pool. But let's be real here, it wasn't exactly a walk in the park. The deer was a bit of a heavyweight and didn't seem to want to cooperate with their efforts. But after much effort and determination, Patrick and Karen were finally able to pull the deer out of the water. The deer was a bit dizzy and disoriented from the whole ordeal, but fortunately it was unharmed. Patrick and Karen took a few minutes to make sure the deer was okay and then release it back into the wild where it belonged. Moose on the loose. A surprising and delightful incident occurred in Ottawa in 2020 when a moose made a grand entrance into a backyard pool owned by a local couple. This majestic creature spent several hours indulging in a refreshing swim in the pool, enjoying the cool water on a warm day. Who knew moose enjoyed taking a dip like humans do? Anyway, the homeowner, Paul Koch, was flabbergasted as to how the moose managed to sneak into his backyard. After all, the fence around his property stood at an impressive 5 to 5.5 feet tall. Did the moose practice its high jump skills, or did it have a secret key to the gate? The mystery remains unsolved to this day. The scene attracted a lot of attention, and the authorities were informed. The police, conservation officials, and National Capital Commission staff rushed to the location. The moose was now the center of attention, and it seemed to enjoy the limelight. Around 10:30 a.m., the moose, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated, climbed out of the pool and with great agility hopped the fence into another yard. Move was so smooth, we're pretty sure it deserved a 10 out of 10 from the judges. The moose then crossed the Hunt Club Road and headed towards the woods. More than likely it had enough of a dip for the day, but who knows? What we do know is that the moose left behind a hole in the coach's pool lining. That's a bummer, but despite the repair work, the coaches said that the incident was undoubtedly the highlight of their 40 years as homeowners. Poop. Well, what do we got here? Seems like we have a little case of poo in the pool. Yeah, you heard it right, people do a little more than just pee in swimming pools if you get my drift. And if you did guess that, I'm talking about poo. And then give yourself a pat on the back if you did pretty good. Now, let's dive into this, pun intended, and talk about the nitty-gritty details of the poopocalypse in the pool. It's a known fact that pools are filled with all sorts of nasty bacteria and parasites. But did you know that the culprits behind this are the little rascals themselves? Children. As much as we do try to prevent it, seems like there's no stopping them from doing their business in the pool. And if you think about it, it's not entirely their fault. You ever tried to hold your poop while swimming? Not the most comfortable feeling. Now let's get to the serious stuff. You ever swallowed water while playing in the pool as a kid, or worse, have you ever skipped taking a proper shower after swimming? Well, hold on to your swim trunks, because scientists believe that these two things might be the cause of the rise in diarrhea cases during summertime. It's a vicious cycle. One kid has a stomach bug, goes swimming, and infects the entire pool. And before you know it, everyone is running to the bathroom. The chlorine in the water does a great job of killing most of the bacteria and parasites, but unfortunately it's not enough to kill the ones that can cause runny poo. So if you do happen to get sick, please, for the love of all that is good, stay away from the swimming pool. And if you're still considering going back to a pool or water park, then try your best not to swallow the water ever again. A Tesla. Buckle up, my friend, because we're about to take a wild ride. Picture this, sunny Tuesday morning in Pasadena, cruising in your Tesla. Life is good, birds are singing, and you're feeling like a boss behind the wheel of your fancy electric car. But then, disaster strikes. You accidentally hit the accelerator instead of the brakes, and suddenly you're hurtling towards a wall at breakneck speed. I hate it when this happens. Oh, but wait, it does get crazier. Next thing you know, you've crashed through the wall and landed in a pool. That's right, a pool. Kinda like something out of a James Bond movie. Or maybe a Jackass movie. However, this isn't fiction, folks, this actually happened. And to make matters even more intense, there were 3 people in the car at the time, including a child. Talk about a heart-stopping moment. Luckily, some brave and quick-thinking individuals were nearby and rushed to the rescue. These good Samaritans pulled the occupants of the car to safety just in the nick of time before the vehicle was fully submerged. Thankfully, nobody was injured in the accident. Now, you might be thinking, how did this even happen? Well, the accident occurred near Pacific Oaks Children's School on West California Boulevard. And get this, 2 employees at the school witnessed the whole thing go down. Talk about being in the right place at the right time, or maybe the wrong place at the wrong time, depending on how you look at it. Oh, and did we mention that the child in the car was actually a student at the school? Yeah, this really was a wild ride that they won't be forgetting anytime soon. Scared cow. On April 20th, 2020, a hapless calf had a run-in with 2 dastardly dogs. The young bovine was chased relentlessly by the canine duo, with nary a place to hide. Suddenly, the calf had an epiphany and decided to make a break for it, hoping to save her own hide. She bravely leapt into the nearest body of water, a sparkling pool, in the hopes of evading her pursuers. One of the dogs, surprisingly enough, decided to follow suit and jumped into the pool as well. However, the crucial difference was the dogs are natural swimmers, while cows, not so much. Alas, our brave bovine was out of her depth, literally and figuratively. But just when it seemed all hope was lost, the plucky cow spotted the dog still hot on her heels. In a panic, she tried to make her way back up the pool's ladder, but found that she needed more legs to climb it successfully. As the dog drew closer, the cow became increasingly agitated, pacing back and forth in a frenzied state. Luckily for her, 2 gallant cowboys astride their trusty steeds happened to be passing by at that very moment. Seeing the cow in distress, they sprang into action, using a rope to guide the poor creature towards the shallow end of the pool. After a couple of attempts, the cow finally made it out of the water, leaving the dog behind and struggling to keep up. A giant snake. British musician and TikToker extraordinaire Elizabeth Electra recently took a trip to Thailand and encountered a rather unexpected guest in her hotel swimming pool. And no, it wasn't a friendly poolside attendant with fresh towels and fruity cocktails. It was a massive 3-meter-long snake. Yeah, you heard that right. This daring diva captured footage of the scaly intruder slithering through the neon-lit water like it owned the place. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Let me tell you, this video's been viewed more times than I've eaten slices of pizza, which is saying something. In fact, it's been seen over 300,000 times. Now you might be thinking, what kind of crazy person would swim in a pool with a snake? But fear not, dear viewer, for our intrepid musician was safely on dry land when she captured this spine-tingling scene. And to be fair, it's not like she could have predicted this wild encounter. Thailand is known for being home to some of the largest and deadliest snakes in the world. This includes the reticulated python and the king cobra. But back to the action-packed video. After slithering around for a bit, the snake's impromptu pool party was rudely interrupted by hotel staff. They could be seen using pool cleaners to retrieve the sneaky serpent, which doesn't take too kindly to being disturbed, and can't say I blame it, to be honest. Let me tell ya, it wasn't just any old snake, this thing was feisty. It lashed back at the staff when they tried to touch it, making for a seriously heart-pumping moment. You're not, though, animal lovers, because the story does have a happy ending. According to Electra, the staff were able to move the snake to safety without harming it. An exhausted coyote. In a neighborhood called Glaber Park, there lived a coffee-loving human named Nicole Van de Wolfshar. As Nicole was sipping on her hot beverage, she heard a ruckus outside. Being the curious and brave soul that she is, she ventured out her yard to investigate. To her surprise, she saw a coyote floundering around in her pool, looking like a wet furball. Now, Nicole had never been known to shy away from a challenge, so she decided to help the coyote out of the pool. After all, she figured the poor thing must have been exhausted from trying to swim and claw its way out of the water. So she carefully approached the coyote, armed with nothing but her trusty coffee mug and her quick wit. At first, the coyote seemed hesitant to trust her. Can you blame it, though? I mean, who would trust a human who comes at you with a steaming hot mug of liquid? But Nicole was persistent and patient, and after a while, the coyote slowly started to inch its way towards the pool steps. Now, this is where things got interesting. You see, the coyote had clearly never taken swimming lessons before because it didn't seem to know how to climb out of the pool. Nicole tried to coax it towards the steps, but it's obvious that it was very unsure as it kept slipping and sliding back into the water, splashing around like a little kid who's just discovered the joys of a water park. But Nicole was determined to help the coyote, and she wasn't about to give up that easy. So she kept at it, encouraging the coyote and cheering it on like a proud soccer mom. And after what seemed like an eternity, but was only about 15 minutes, the coyote finally managed to pull itself out of the pool. It looked like a soaked and defeated little creature, but it was safe. Misplaced hippo. Get ready for a wild story that'll have you hypnotized. In Mon, Botswana, one family woke up to quite the surprise when they discovered a 3-ton hippo taking a dip in their pool. That's right, folks, this massive animal decided to take a break from the river and take a swim in a private pool instead. Now, before you go thinking that this was a cute and harmless encounter, let's remind you that hippos are one of Africa's most dangerous animals. With their massive jaws capable of crushing crocs, these beasts should not be taken lightly. They may look slow and docile, but did you know that they can reach speeds of almost 20 miles per hour on land? And in water, they'll charge boats and people if they feel threatened. Mr. Reed speculates that the hippo decided to take a dip in their pool because the region experienced an unusually hot and dry summer. This was in 2018, and the swimming pool was probably the most inviting place for the hippo to cool off. Can you blame the guy? We've all been there, desperate for a refreshing dip on a scorching day. However, as fun as this unexpected pool party was, it came with a significant downside for the people. The uninvited guests left behind a considerable mess in the family's previously pristine pool, prompting a massive cleanup operation. Relaxed bear. Sunny California, a man named Mike Emanuel was enjoying a leisurely day by his backyard pool in Simi Valley when he got the surprise of a lifetime: a black bear taking a dip in his pool. At first, Mike thought he was hallucinating. Maybe he'd accidentally ingested some magical mushrooms or was suffering from heat stroke. But as he squinted through his sunglasses, he realized that it was indeed a furry intruder doing the backstroke in his backyard oasis. Naturally, he whipped out his phone and started recording a video of the bear's aquatic adventure, because of how often do you get to capture a bear in the pool on camera? Not very often, we're guessing. After the bear had dried off, we assumed it did a few laps and some cannonballs, it scampered off into the wilderness. But Mike knew he had to report this to the authorities, just in case the bear decided to go on a pool hopping spree. So he called the Simi Valley police and told them about his unusual visitor. The police confirmed the sighting but didn't take any further action, because what are they gonna do? Put the bear a citation for illegal swimming? The story doesn't end there, my friends. The very next day, another report came in from a homeowner in Simi Valley who found a bear rummaging through their kitchen. This time, the police were on the scene and witnessed the bear exiting through the back door like a seasoned criminal. Was it the same bear from the pool party the day before? We may never know. But one thing's for sure, these bears are getting bolder by the day. Holiday iguana. Boy, do I got a story for you. It involves an iguana, a pool, and some holiday makers who got more than they bargained for. You see, Hannah Peters, a 24-year-old from Maryland, was enjoying some much-needed sunshine. She was at a resort in Puerto Rico when she noticed a cheeky iguana causing a ruckus around the pool. Now, this iguana wasn't just lounging around, mind you. No, this iguana was on a mission to annoy every single person at the pool. First, it took a dive into the water and started gliding around like it owned the place. Then it leapt out of the water and terrorized Hannah's poor dad, who was just minding his own business on a pool chair. The iguana crawled out of the pool, hopped onto the chair, and bit her dad's arm. Can you believe it? This iguana had no chill. Hannah couldn't help but think that something was gonna happen when she saw the iguana swimming so fast, and boy did it ever. People have been hitting her up left and right, telling her they've watched the video of the iguana's antics over 10 times. But hey, at least it brought a smile to people's faces, right? Now you might be wondering why this iguana was so brazen. Yeah, maybe it was just looking for some attention. A stuck giraffe. Lucy the giraffe, a stunning creature with a long neck and even longer legs, was ready for a close-up on the hit TV show Wild at Heart. She'd been trained for weeks to perform stunning stunts and run wild through the African savannah. But little did she know that her greatest challenge was about to come through from an unlikely source, a swimming pool. As Lucy was exploring the set, she stumbled upon the swimming pool, which seemed like an inviting spot to cool off on a hot day. With her graceful stride, she stepped into the pool without a care in the world. But as she attempted to exit, she realized she was in trouble. Her long legs could not find any footing on the slippery surface, and she was trapped in the pool, flailing her legs helplessly. The crew on the set knew they had to act fast to save Lucy from her watery predicament. They quickly realized that they needed to empty the pool and give her some food to keep her calm. But the real challenge was getting Lucy out of the pool. They tried building a makeshift ramp, but it was too steep for her to climb. They even tried using a crane, but it was too dangerous for Lucy. As they scratched their heads and tried to come up with a solution, Lucy continued to pace back and forth in the pool, growing more agitated by the minute. Finally, in a moment of inspiration, they decided to demolish the pool entirely. It was a drastic solution, but it was the only way to free Lucy from her watery trap. So they got to work with their hammers and tools, breaking down the walls of the pool until they created a slope that Lucy could climb out of safely. It was a comical sight to see a group of adults demolishing a swimming pool to rescue a giraffe, but it was all worth it in the end. Lucy emerged from the pool, dripping wet and a little shaken up, but otherwise unharmed. Dancing gorilla. Having a bad day? Well, fear not, my friend, because I got the perfect remedy for your woes, and it comes in the form of a dancing gorilla. Yeah, you heard that right. The Dallas Zoo has gifted us with a video of their resident gorilla, Zola, having an absolute blast in the swimming pool. and let me tell you, it's a sight to behold. Now, some of you may remember Zola from her previous viral video where he was seen spinning and stomping in a puddle of water like nobody's business. But in his latest masterpiece, Zola takes things up a notch with what the zookeepers affectionately refer to as breakdancing. Let's be real here, Zola's moves are less breakdancing and they're more flailing limbs, spinning in circles, splashing water everywhere, and looking up at the sky as if he's communing with some higher power. It's absolutely hilarious and heartwarming all at once. And the best part, you can add any music you want to the video and it still works. But if you're struggling to find the perfect tune to accompany Zola's shenanigans, fear not. Bob Haig of the Star Telegram has already done the hard work for us. He suggests that Maniac by Michael Zambello is the ultimate soundtrack for this Flashdance-esque moment. A massive alligator. In Florida, because let's be honest, where else could this really happen, a local woman was enjoying a sunny day by the pool when she got the surprise of a lifetime. A massive 11.5-foot alligator decided to crash her party and take a dip in the pool. The woman couldn't believe her eyes as the 400-pound beast lazily paddled around the pool, but she quickly realized that this was no time for selfies. Instead, she called in the big guns, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Trappers, who were more than happy to handle the situation. Let's back up a bit though. How did this ginormous gator end up in the pool in the first place? Seems that he was just minding his own business in a nearby woods when he decided to take a little stroll. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that he was about to become an unwelcome guest at the pool party of that year. After breaking through the patio screen, the gator found himself splashing around the deep end. He was probably wondering why nobody had invited him to bring a dish to share. But fear not, the trappers were able to remove the giant reptile safely and relocate him to a more appropriate habitat. Now let's talk about safety. While it may seem tempting to get up close and personal with Florida's wildlife, it's important to remember that these animals are not your average house pets. Experts advise maintaining a distance of at least 25 feet from the water's edge. After all, you never know when an 11-foot gator might decide to show up unannounced at your next pool party. Pool Bandit. Maddie Altman, a resident of the Great White North, also known as Toronto, Canada, was taking a leisurely stroll in her backyard when something caught her eye. It was a trail of wet paw prints leading straight to her swimming pool. As any good detective would do, she followed the prints, and lo and behold, she found the culprit, a raccoon. Now, most people would be alarmed to see a raccoon in their backyard, let alone in their pool, but not Altman. She's a pretty cool cat, or should we say a cool raccoon. Anyway, she realized that this wasn't a case of accidental drowning. Oh no. This little rascal had intentionally gone for a swim and even used the stairs to get out of the pool. Talk about fancy. Altman was quite surprised to see a raccoon swimming in her pool as she'd never witnessed it before. The raccoon seemed quite content and relaxed in the water as well. With the recent heat wave in Toronto, it's not hard to imagine that the raccoon was just trying to cool off like the rest of us. Let's give a round of applause to Altman though, who not only let the raccoon swim in her pool, but also said that it was more than welcome to come back for a dip anytime it wanted. That's right folks, Maddie Altman has officially declared her pool as a raccoon-friendly zone. Monkey Pool Party. In Thailand, a group of cheeky monkeys have taken over a school swimming pool and are causing quite a ruckus. These unruly primates are part of a population that was sterilized by officials after a massive monkey gang fight last year, but it seems like their wild ways are still in full swing. Not only are they throwing a pool party every day, but they're also raiding the school's trash cans for leftovers and even stealing clothes and snacks from unsuspecting students. One student at the Pibol Witalaya school lamented that they used to swim in the morning during PE, but since the gang of monkeys arrived and partied like they owned the place, swimming became impossible. To make matters worse, the monkeys are constantly on the move, climbing fences and wandering into the playground. The school has had to install higher perimeter fences with electric voltage to keep them out, but it seems like these crafty critters are always one step ahead. Not all fun and games though. School principal is concerned about the safety of his students and has instructed the teachers to keep an eye out for the mischievous monkeys. See you all next time!